Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snack Time.
Welcome to Snack Time. So, this week we are checking out the newly formed Wii U GBA segment of the Virtual Console. It's specifically checking out Advance Wars because Advance Wars is awesome. Andrew is here with me as always, and back after missing last week is Henry. Hey, Henry, how's it going, man?
Hey guys, hey Graham. Glad to be back. Not the same without you guys last week, or last session, but yeah, here and I'm ready, and I'm very happy that we're playing Advance Wars because I think I have a plaque somewhere, but I am the world's worst Advance Wars player.
Okay.
Every instinct I had about the game was wrong. Every move I did was wrong. I defended when I should have attacked. I attacked when I should have defended. I did not get any part of this game, but I really enjoy watching other people play.
Okay, that's good.
So
you might learn some stuff this week.
I'm in the right. Thank you. Well, that's what I'm hoping. I hope I'm in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, you have Field Instructor Graham here to help you out.
Woo!
I
Field Instructor Graham, go easy on me.
I'm a veteran of mini wars, all of them Famicom.
I think I will quickly demonstrate that I might have to take that from you, Henry.
No, I guarantee you, already what you're doing is better than what I would be doing.
Building units?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Okay, so yeah, we're starting out with the first War Room map and the first game because it just showed up on the Wii U Virtual Console.
It sure did.
Yeah, and so you have Max there.
Yeah, I realize I haven't. Okay, so far I've just been playing the story, and I've just been playing as Andy. So I figured I'd try Max out again. It's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, Andy's pretty good.
Yeah, Andy is pretty good. That's true.
Max is. So, how am I going to put this? Max isn't great.
Okay, well then I will probably lose terribly. I guess we'll find out.
I mean, they're all balanced. I just don't like him because he's bad. In like a totally subjective way.
In that he's unbalanced to your needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
So
I don't know, boring.
So let's pretend that I'm the world's worst Advance Wars players, which is not hard to do.
Okay.
Each guy you control has their own sort of specialty in terms of abilities that can affect the outcome on the map, correct?
Yeah, so it's COs, and if you ever get me talking about Famicom Wars, which really is its own episode into itself at some point, the thing that Advance Wars really added, Super Famicom Wars kind of, but Advance Wars especially, is creating these characters with these special abilities that are strong and kind of shape how you play. So Max is your direct attacker. All of his like tanks and stuff, they're really powerful. All of his artillery units, his long range stuff, horrible.
Yeah.
So that's his thing.
So not only can they use specific abilities, the units that they build are different.
The units that they build are the same, but the stats of the units change based on the strength.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah. Or I mean, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have some interesting ways of getting around it. Like, my favorite guy to use is actually kind of like late game, kind of end game secret guy. Is the shopkeeper Hachi?
Is that his name? Oh, okay. I was going to say I'm wondering if his name was end game secret shop guy.
No, it wouldn't quite.
I was going to say
the character limit.
I saw on the internet today that 150 babies in the U.S. last year were named Khaleesi, which is interesting. And I was just thinking, like, man, I was thinking about bad names lately, and Khaleesi isn't even a name; it's a title. If you want to name your daughter Daenerys, that's cool. Anyway, 150 people in years or so will hate their parents for naming them Khaleesi, but at least they didn't name their child End of Game Merchant Secret Dude.
Well, my parents.
But you know what? I can think of a worse nickname than Merchant. I think Merchant is kind of a cool name.
You just be Merch, right?
Merch. I think
just hanging out with Merch. The problem is Merch.
Hey, Merch, you want to come get some pizza with us?
Feels like Merch will be like, I don't know. He'd be that dude that like hangs out, doesn't necessarily get higher education, but kind of is involved in some shady schemes, but not like violent schemes.
No.
Like
I mean,
he's
got a heart of gold, but he also wants
because
gold
that's where he keeps his merch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Merc? That's very close to Mark, and then that's like a real name. I don't like that.
I wouldn't name my kid Merc if that's what you're saying.
I think it was bad. I have a couple really good friends named Mark, so I can't blast the name because I do like it.
Mark is fine. Merc is not great.
Anyway, what is this guy's actual name that you were talking about?
Hachi.
Hachi. Okay, Hachi's
Hachi's thing, and he really isn't particularly balanced, is that his units are normal. He just gets discounts because he's the shopkeeper. He pays less to get them. So there's a CO, Colin. I forget. Colin is in the first game. His sister's only later. But Colin, his units are slightly weaker, but they're cheaper. Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite, there's the CO named Kanbei, whose units are better, but they're more expensive. Hachi doesn't have the drawback. They're just cheaper. It's kind of broken.
So does that mean you can just build way more units?
And then his power lets him use any city as a base instead of needing a base to make units.
Whoa.
So, and this is the thing.
This guy sounds pretty good.
I mean, yes, and I think there's been some rethinking about whether he should exist. But Advance Wars was the first Wars game to have pre-deployed maps where, like, before Advance Wars, there weren't maps with units already on the map. They were just the ones where you made stuff.
Okay.
And then a thing that's special to Advance Wars is also, like, there are units where you have, like, here, you're 9 units. You don't have any way of making any more. Well, unless you're Hachi and you capture a city.
Right.
And then you can just make whatever you want.
That's a bit broken, I can see that.
It is, yeah.
Now, taking a break in the action, let's go to the boring video game being played.
Okay.
I say that sarcastically because it actually looks really cool.
You say that like we're not talking about Advance Wars right now.
Well, I know we are, but I mean, we're just talking amongst ourselves. We're not talking to Andrew much. Andrew, this game, A, looks really cool. B, are you doing well? I can't tell. It seems like you are.
I'm doing about as well as they are.
Right.
Maybe it's
Graham,
too early to tell.
Are you way better at this? Or are you laughing at Andrew, saying like, building a unit there? How silly.
Okay, so he's doing a pretty good job. I would never have made a mech on the first turn, but that's a choice.
Andrew, did you hear that? Shots fired.
No, but he's doing fine. The thing about these warrior maps, especially the early ones, is like the first few turns, you're barely like hitting the enemy at all.
Right.
So where you figure out whether you're doing well or not is as soon as you kind of develop this front.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the first war room map, so he's probably going to be just fine.
Okay.
Probably.
Now, what do you mean by war room map? I'm assuming this is not part of the storyline?
Yeah, so how it works is there's a campaign where you just go through this like crazy story and you have map after map after map after map. And then there's the war room, which these are basically just like kind of scenarios. Like, this is more common in like PC games and things like that, where it's just one map, not tied to anything, and it's like as you work your way up the list of war room maps, the odds are increasingly, in the opponent's favor, and you kind of have to be better and better and better as they have like more cities, so they have more money, or they have units sitting out there, or they have like a terrain advantage. So that's war room, and then there's the third thing, which is just maps, battle maps. Which this is how you play with friends, or you can turn on the enemies and kind of customize who you're playing against, and that stuff's fun too, right? But in that mode, the enemies are evenly balanced. Whether the AI is better than you is another thing. That's the thing about Advance Wars AI that's always interesting. It's not. There aren't really levels of AI in Advance Wars.
Okay.
There's a hard mode, and you'll get to that in the campaign, and then basically the way that the difficulties ramped up is that there's just more stuff on the enemy side.
And I think that seems fair, considering I think this game originally came out on the Game Boy Advance 13 years ago.
Yep,
it's been
just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, sometimes that may turn people off, but I mean, you also gotta, put that into perspective. Like, this is like not a new game, but the fact that it holds up pretty well and the overall strategy and the core mechanics seem pretty solid. So you're just gonna have to understand that that's part of the game. It doesn't have the kind of AI you may expect in some modern, although some modern tactical games probably have worse AI than this one. So
yeah, and I think there's something to be said for not trying to make smart AI kind of smart AI and dumb AI. It's just like, here's the AI, and then we'll balance everything based on like around now they have 3 tanks.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's way better because I mean we've seen a lot of instances.
Too. Yeah,
that's right. I mean we've seen a lot of instances of games just with horrible AI, and sometimes you're not sure if it's just poor programming or maybe they tried to do too much.
Yeah, or like games where they have the casual mode where for some reason the enemies just don't shoot at you. Like that's I don't know. It doesn't really
why
seem
would enemies want to? Andrew, you should tell the blue guys not to shoot at you. Have you tried that? Is there a diplomacy option in this?
You know what?
In this game?
I've spoken to the TV, but it doesn't seem to be listening to me.
I mean, there's a remote, there's a microphone in the gamepad, so I mean, it could happen.
I could try.
But yeah, I mean, other games would do things like, in easy mode, the artillery don't have ammunition. Like, what? No, that. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I appreciate the way it works.
It's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew, so we mentioned the Virtual Console. Andrew, are you playing this on your Wii right now?
I'm playing this on my Wii U, yes.
On the Wii U, I beg your pardon, Wii U. Oh, very cool. I haven't used the Wii U shop yet. Is it easy and quick to download and all that stuff?
Everything seems to be working okay.
Works great?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, very cool.
And I, honestly, this is probably the most activity we've seen on the Virtual Console in a long time. In terms of, like, exciting new things, because Nintendo hasn't really been doing a lot of that, basically since the Wii U launched.
I mean, last year there was the 30 for 30, the 30-cent thing.
Yeah, okay, that was pretty cool, but yeah, besides that.
But since then it's been kind of quiet. And also the thing about this is, I don't really know who's been working on the emulation of the games for the other consoles, but at least for this first batch of Game Boy Advance games, M2 is doing this. Yeah. So, like, the emulation quality is really nice.
Mm-hmm. This
they've
looks
put a
great
couple
right
more
now.
options in there. Yeah, I really like, and especially the thing with the GBA is it was already kind of widescreen. Like, yes, there's a little bit of letterboxing going on, but it just looks great on like a big widescreen. Whereas like an SNES game or something, it's like, well, this is still square, or it's stretched, and that's horrible too. But there's something about this that, like, it just feels more natural than that stuff.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Graham. I think this looks fantastic. I'm shocked that this is sort of an emulation for Game Boy, and Andrew's streaming it, and online it just looks amazing. Doesn't seem to be any lag or anything like that. Oh, Olaf is using Blizzard.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, that's one of the
distracted by Olaf.
The CO powers right there.
Yep.
I've read, actually, you think sort of where we're at now, 2014, and we've got, this next generation of console, or this, I guess, what is it, the 7th generation of console, so you think emulation would be really easy. But I've read somewhere that actually the more advanced that systems get, the harder it may be to emulate things properly. It's not just a matter of sort of, I guess, breaking the hardware onto the new hardware. Like, perfect emulation of systems is a lot more complex than people think. So I can, at the same time, it's frustrating. But they're not doing it on purpose. It's quite difficult.
Right, and I think that this perception has been kind of amplified by how consoles were developed for years. Mm-hmm. Like, especially the backward compatibility thing, right? Like, PS2 could play PS1 games perfectly. Well, that's because the PS1 chip was in there. Like, it was being used for something different for PS2 games, but it's just in there, so it just starts using it. The same thing happened with, like, the Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance. The entire Game Boy chipset is just, like, a piece of the Game Boy Advance chipset. Like, it's just in there, right? So, and then, the same thing happened with the GameCube to the Wii. Like, well, yeah, there's just GameCube hardware in there. So, when you start, especially with something like, for example, going from the PS3 with, like, the cell processor craziness to basically a PC with the PS4, it's like, well, this isn't comparable at all.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how you can manage emulation for that, but especially, like, now you have to, like, manually make PS2 emulation in there, where even when they took out full backward compatibility with the PS2, there was still a little bit in there as far as structure to help run PS2 games when they did the PS2 classics. So it was a little easier.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The I understand the argument behind people wanting backwards compatibility, but at the same time, there's got to be like a limit. And for me, I'd rather a console be cheaper and not have backwards compatibility, because I mean, again, it's not easy, and that just means usually bigger hardware and heavier hardware and more costly. So the appeal is really cool. I get it, but I don't want sort of whoever's developing these consoles or whatever to sort of stress about it, because I don't think it's quite the killer factor like people think.
Yeah, but I do think specifically it's less about cost and more about, if you want your systems developed to be easy to make games for, that's a different type of system than one that is set up to work well with the previous set of games and things like that.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. Yeah, very cool. Now this is going to sound really dumb.
Okay.
I'm finally employed again, so I'm definitely going to look at getting into the new console thing. So Wii U is first on the list. Is Wii U backwards compatible with Wii games?
It is backwards compatible with Wii games, not with GameCube games. It doesn't have GameCube controllers, so if you want to play a Wii game with GameCube controllers, you can't do that.
Okay.
But you can play all Wii games.
Right. And you can use the Wii controllers for Wii U games?
Yes.
It's got that cool... I know it's got the cool tablet, but it's also got the classic controller, or what do they call it again?
The Pro Controller?
The Pro Controller. Yeah. That looks really cool.
A lot of the time you can use the Classic Controller and Classic Controller Pro from the Wii for a lot of games. So that's an option.
Right.
Yeah,
and what are you playing with this right now? Which controller?
I'm using the gamepad. The Wii U gamepad.
You're using the gamepad?
Yep.
Oh, so we can't show it on the screen, but Andrew, how does the game look on the gamepad?
It looks great. I mean, honestly, I've been looking at the gamepad more than the TV playing this.
Right?
Yeah.
So, in my experience, it just becomes a big, comfy GBA.
Exactly. It's great.
If they released a GBA with a 7.5-inch screen, it'd be like, yep, this is my GBA now.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, have they announced any sort of modern, updated Advance Wars for the Wii U?
No.
So I mentioned it a little in my Famicom Wars piece a while back, but there was an interview,
which was excellent, by the way.
Thank you. But there was an interview done by actually the 8.4 guys with the Intelligent Systems team after Fire Emblem Awakening, and they kind of talked about are you going to make a new Advance Wars? And they're just like, well, wait, is that something people want? Which is the reaction of the developers of the series. So it's just, I mean, the thing is, since Fire Emblem's gotten so huge in Japan, and since Advance Wars is only nominally released the last time there, it's just well, we have this hugely successful franchise we could be working on, or we could set it aside and do this kind of small project for people that aren't here and don't ever talk to us for way less money. It's I guess not. I hope that happens, because it really would work if they need to, I could see there being a new Advance Wars on the Wii U before a new Advance Wars on the 3DS, because they already have the 3DS Fire Emblem engine.
Okay.
If they wanted to develop a Wii U engine, they might quickly put it together with Advance Wars and then make a Fire Emblem out of it. Because
I gotta say, this to me, this is the kind of game that I would buy. I wouldn't buy on any other system but a Wii U. The gamepad to me seems absolutely essential to a game like this, where you have really, really cool variety of combinations you can use with the gamepad and the TV. Like Andrew mentioned, he's looking at the gamepad more than the actual TV. I mean, the main screen could be totally uncluttered, all used for action. You can do all these not microtransactions, but sort of customization and equipping your army, all with the touch screen.
Yeah.
And then use the main screen for battle. I mean, that model alone would make me want to buy this kind of game, and I'm not really wild about playing this kind of game on any other system. I know it's a sort of a niche, category or niche vertical of games, I guess, as it is, but man, that just sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I want, and it probably will never happen, but the thing I want is for them to take advantage of the fact that there's the gamepad in a local multiplayer sense.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, this is just Advance Wars is such a great pass and play game already.
Right.
So what if you could pass and play, but
Yeah.
like your TV showed like the whole map with all the fog of war on, while whoever's turn it is has the gamepad and can see what they can see.
Oh
And you
man.
can kind of follow along what's going on the screen.
That sounds great.
Or or if you had like a segment of the map on the gamepad that you're working on standard, but then you can see the whole big thing and what's going on there. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could take advantage of that.
Graham, why aren't you working for one of these companies yet? By the way.
Well, I mean, it's not on me.
It's such a cool idea, and I'm not on the Wii U hate bandwagon at all. I mean, ideally, if money was no option, I'd have all 3 systems. But I mean, I can just think of so many cool ideas that Nintendo could do to really take advantage of the hardware. And I know it's not that easy. It's easy for us to just say, well, this is a great idea and this is a great idea, behind, without any financial pressures or stockholders to that. But an idea like that, like just so many ideas where they could take advantage of the hardware that would totally separate themselves from their competition, where it's like, okay, well, the Xbox One and the PS4 have strategy games, it's true, but look at our strategy game that we can do with our tablet. Like, you can't do this with any others. And I'd be like, man, that makes me want to buy a Wii U, totally.
I mean, so the thing they could do with Advance Wars, especially with Advance Wars, if they're not going to do anything else, is just let a one of the smaller developers floating around, whoever you think can handle it, even if it's someone like WayForward, I think would do a good job, do a 2D, like, cel-shaded sort of look. Just like a really nice, clean HD look. Advance Wars with, I don't even care if you develop a new campaign, I wish you would, but if you just had, like, war room maps and versus with online play, and just put it down as like a small scale, like, $10 game that you just download.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be pretty easy to do, and actually, like, I wouldn't be worried about anybody else handling the work, because it would just be making sure the online works, because the units already have stats, they're already balanced. Just put together that thing, even if they're not going to do a big, like, I don't think Advanced Wars works well as a large-scale thing. Like, I was never a huge fan of, like, the Battalion Wars formula.
Right.
Those games are fun, but yeah,
they were fine, but, like, they weren't better than Advanced Wars, and they certainly cost a whole bunch more, so... Yeah, it is what it is.
Well, it's really cool. We have a question from the chat about Smash Brothers, the big Smash Brothers update, where the 3DS version is coming out far earlier than the Wii U version. Graham, what do you think about the big Nintendo Direct news about the Smash Bros. Games?
Yeah, so... narrow that down for me. What do you want my reaction on?
Do you think it is a smart move for them to delay the Wii U version and have the 3DS version first?
I think so.
Yes. So there's been a lot of griping over the past day or so about, oh, this is horrible news for the Wii U.
Wait, Graham, hold on a second. The internet was griping about something?
I know, but specifically...
I'm going to need a source on that.
That it was about this was a little strange, I think. But the main issue I saw was people don't understand. I mean, okay, so Smash Brothers is not Mario Party, but like it is not that bad. It is not to that level, but it has some of the same issues in that it's not really a portable game. So like if you released Smash Brothers on the Wii U and the 3DS at the same time, I would just buy the Wii U version. Because it's like, which one are you going to buy it on? And this way, I'm going to buy the 3DS one, whatever. For other reasons later, I'm totally going to buy the Wii U version. But
yeah,
if you think about it, like, if their goal is to sell the most Wii U units, then maybe you hold it back. But I think you make so much more money, sell way more copies of Smash Brothers if you sell the 3DS one first, because it's smaller. Like, releasing it at the same time, it's like, which one are you going to buy? Releasing it later than the Wii U version, it's like, well, I already have the big game. This is a little version of this game. Right? It's like releasing the portable game after releasing the HD remake of the portable game. It's like, why? I'm not going to do that. I've already played it.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think this makes a lot of sense. I also think 3DS development's way faster, so they're probably done with it first, and they need something for this year to release. So that's probably what's going on. I don't know. What do you think, Andrew?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head with all of that. I mean, it just makes more sense. I mean, the 3DS is the bigger audience. They want they want people to be playing this game as soon as possible to get people talking about it. And then, if people like the 3DS version enough, they maybe want to go and upgrade to the Wii U and get the Wii U version when that comes out, because that'll be the version everyone's playing when that comes out. And maybe people will still be playing the 3DS version a lot, I'm sure, but it's kind of, I think that is a smarter strategy to get people to buy a Wii U more than releasing both at the same time. It just seems like a good idea. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to get both versions. I might just wait on the Wii U version, but knowing me, I might just end up getting the 3DS version first anyway, because it's Smash Brothers. Everyone's going to be talking about it. Everyone's going to be playing it. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say right now. But I would like to say that I would like to think this is actually a smart move on Nintendo's part. Plus, for Wii U stuff, they have Mario Kart coming out probably right before the 3DS version of Smash Brothers, like at least a couple months before, I would assume. So, I mean, I'm no marketing genius, but I don't think they need two big games back to back when they could just space it out better.
Yeah. In this way, it's two separate products as opposed to like two platforms for the same product, which it really is. I mean, they're using the same rosters, but there are different maps, there are different single-player modes.
It's not cross-platform multiplayer, is it?
It is not.
One day.
Maybe not. I mean, I don't see it really being necessary. But so the thing about this, Smash Brothers Direct that I thought was really interesting was just how straightforward and normal game company talking they were. Sakurai was doing. It's like you're talking about frame rates. I know this will get a little technical, whatever. I guess they have to say that, but you're making I hate to say this in a good light. You're making Western game design decisions.
Yeah.
You're caring about frame rate. I mean, whatever. There have always been, we want it to be super smooth sort of things, but I feel like that's kind of gone to the wayside in recent years with Japanese games.
Yeah.
Where it's just we don't really care so much about the technology. They talked about that. They talked about, just the way they're breaking down the game into everybody having a good time, and then all those weirdos in their own little mode over there.
I love that. It's they're finally admitting, this is the fun area.
And then there's you.
Yeah, you guys over there, whatever. Which, I think that's fantastic, because they acknowledge, I think they've probably known for a long time, even before Brawl came out, but they acknowledge the fact that there are two different audiences for Smash Brothers, and they want two entirely different things, so they're providing it. They're not really
making fun of those people,
Yeah.
First of all, they're making a lot of concessions that, that community's been wanting, especially, if you look at the changes that were made in, Project M, and then you look at the things they've done in this, where it's let's separate these two characters so you can't switch between them, but they're just selectable on the main menu. Oh, okay, yep, apparently you want that. So,
are either two of you leaning towards which version you're going to buy, or are you thinking about buying both? Because I know you both have.
I'm going to buy both
those
systems.
Systems. You're going to buy both versions?
Yeah.
Graham, why?
They're two separate games releasing half a year away from each other, and they're Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
and the one I would consider not getting is the 3DS one, but then they went ahead and added an entire mode from Kirby Air Ride in there, so...
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm buying it now.
Yeah.
How much of the Wii U, because I know the 3DS is absolutely killing it, so it doesn't really need a ton of help, but how much of the Wii U's success do you guys think banks on Smash Brothers being a big title for them, and maybe lump in Mario Kart 8 for that?
Okay, so you can't...
Totally not from, I know it's hard because I know we all love Nintendo games, and I'm not saying the Wii U is, as doomed as a lot of people say, but in terms of sort of it making a real impact, at least in the perception of most gamers' minds, how important is it that the Smash Brothers game is a really big success on the Wii U?
Okay, so I think it's important to not loop together Smash and Mario Kart.
Okay,
because Smash totally is a perception thing.
Okay.
Smash has a lot of the same effect that, say, Uncharted has on PlayStation consoles.
Okay.
It's critically acclaimed, and, people like it who are very influential. I mean, yes, it sells 8 to 10 million copies on the Wii, that's a lot, but put that into perspective. Mario Kart sold more than 25 million copies on the Wii. So Mario Kart needs to be good, and it needs to sell a lot. That is just straight up, this needs to push systems. Smash is a different thing. Smash is in the same category as Super Mario Galaxy, Whereas Mario Kart's in the same category as New Super Mario Brothers.
Or Pokemon or something like that.
Well, yes, a Pokemon would be really good for selling systems. Maybe they should do that. I feel like we're getting close to that break-in case of emergency sort of thing.
I think you're right. I think they're getting there.
But I mean, so far they've put it in the system where Pokemon would sell the most copies, which is not the dumbest thing in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Graham.
Hey,
so in terms of, I mean,
I just won.
Woo. Congratulations,
Andrew, I
won the easiest map.
Yay!
Max.
I'm good.
Man, it still took you a good half an hour. That doesn't look. Is that easy? Is that an easy round?
I could have done it faster, but my
Yeah.
excuse is I'm not good at Advance Wars, so...
Well, there were very few times there where he was in danger of losing, and I don't think there were times in which he was in danger of losing. But there is there's an efficiency of getting it all taken care of thing that could have been slightly faster.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Going back to the Smash Bros. America thing, Graham, you're totally right. So the difference is basically selling, like, sort of catering to the hardcore niche where it might sell 5 to 10, whereas Mario Kart will sell, I mean, hopefully for them, something over its lifetime, 20+ million.
Well, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they'd be really psyched if Mario Kart 8 sold 5 to 10 million. Because
on the Wii U for sure.
Yeah,
because I mean, there's not that many.
If it reaches, if a Wii U game reaches 40% of the Wii game sales, they are happy.
Right.
Real quick,
have
Graham,
you guys?
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. Do you wanted me to do what again after that map?
You should do a battle map. You should do like a versus mode for people, whatever you want.
Okay.
But I think showing the 4-player thing is kind of important for Advance Wars.
Okay. So just pick whichever.
Yeah.
I only have a couple unlocked. I guess I could
Right.
buy some, but I don't remember much about this game, so I don't remember which is which.
Yeah.
So I'll just pick. Yeah.
The ones you have unlocked are the early small ones anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, just as long as you pick a 4-player.
Sure.
Yeah, if you just go to the 4-player thing.
Oh wait, 4-player?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm in. Okay. So now. Okay. Okay. Oh! I see. Aha! Got it. We're good. Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I was confused there for a second.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, the fun of Advance Wars, above like the old Famicom Wars games, to me, especially in the multiplayer, is the whole thing where it becomes kind of this social thing when you're playing against other people, and then just kind of managing people's, I guess, like avoiding drawing their aggro in computer mode, just making sure that other opponents are more vulnerable to attacks than you are. But yeah, so
Okay.
I don't know.
All the special stuff has been turned off. This is classic. It releases classics you can get with.
with 4 players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, in Advance Wars there is an entire map pack, which is the maps from the original Famicom Wars, which is pretty great. They're just marked classic because, I mean, when we got Advance Wars, we didn't have anything before it, so
Yeah.
I believe they're marked differently in the Japanese release. But I don't know. It's interesting. Wait. There's something about this map.
Memories flooding back to you.
This map is from Super Famicom Wars.
Oh, all right. Well, hey.
This is the first 4-player map. In Super Famicom Wars, there's a regular campaign and then a 4-player campaign.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first map of the 4-player campaign.
Excellent.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Clearly, I knew that somehow, and that's why I
Yeah.
picked it. Of course.
Sure. But
Wonder
yeah.
how cognizant you were of Graham's knowledge that he would know about this.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah.
We're on the same page, guys. This is what you call chemistry.
Well,
You can't teach it in school. Well, you can. Just
you can teach chemistry in school,
You
actually.
can, just not the kind of chemistry I'm talking about. What did you guys think of the most recent Mario Kart 8 trailer before we move on?
I mean, I've seen the game.
That
so
game looks like Mario Kart.
It sure does.
Once I've played a game, at least a preview version, I kind of stopped watching trailers of it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like, well, I have a better sense than the trailer.
I think. So what does it look like? Because it looks great, like visually. I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
mean, like,
I mean it's crisp.
just...
I mean it's crisp. You know, I mean it plays like Mario Kart 7, which should surprise absolutely no one,
right?
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where, you know, they have revealed a few features things. One, there's no 5-player, which makes me kind of sad, because Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed did that, where you could have 4-player split screen plus the gamepad, and it was kind of the best.
That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, there's a rumor, it is not confirmed, that you can play 4-player Grand Prix.
Ooh.
In which case, I would be excited about that. I would be okay.
About time.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get. I'm sure it's harder than it sounds, but the fact that they've never done that yet. Am I wrong?
Yeah, they hadn't done it previous to this.
They've never done it.
Once you go above 2 players, it was always like just
like versus maps. Yeah, I know. Oh, how cool would that be? And then what if they went crazy and did 5-player Grand Prix?
Well, they won't do that because they don't support 5 people. It makes me sad, but
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, so that part's interesting. Yeah, I mean, otherwise it's Mario Kart. Yeah, which I say in like the most reverent but not excited way possible.
Yeah, you're not I mean, you're sounding respectful, but not entirely excited. But I
love Mario Kart. I love playing Mario Kart. Like, so, like what was it? I mean, now it's been like over 5 years ago that we did a live stream where we streamed every Mario Kart track in, you know, consecutively. Yeah.
Wow.
And it was like a charity stream thing. But
very cool.
Like, I love Mario Kart. It's just I'm not salivating over Mario Kart because I have a very clear, you know what you're gonna get. I know exactly what I'm gonna get, and it's gonna be great. I'm just not worried about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So chat is asking about Game Boy Wars. Yep. I've played Game Boy Wars. I have a feature on the site that I wrote a while back, and I did mention Game Boy Wars during that. But Game Boy Wars is interesting. And it's weird because these games are called Game Boy Wars Advance in Japan. I mean, to be fair, all of the series before, in Japan, all of the series before the DS version were named for the system they're on. Famicom Wars, Super Famicom Wars, Game Boy Wars, you know. And then it went to Famicom Wars DS, so that was the whole thing. But but the first Game Boy game was made by Intelligent Systems, but the second and third ones were made by Hudson. And it's interesting because the first game was already kind of more like their, I don't know if you ever played Military Madness, or it's called Nectarus in some places. But it's their strategy game that kind of was a takeoff on Famicom Wars. But their second and third games really do lean into that. Those are more like hex-based kind of stuff, and they care a lot about like units around you for support and stuff like that. It's a very interesting game. It's a little more difficult to get into because there's more going on.
Right.
But yeah, the Game Boy Wars things are interesting. 3 is still pretty great. 1 and 2 are kind of more curiosities than anything else. It's interesting to see like where they change the rules and stuff like that. But I would never go back and play that first Intelligent Systems game.
Nope.
Hudson, so Hudson remade the game and called it Game Boy Wars Turbo, and they added Super Game Boy support. But the other thing they did, and this is why it's called Turbo, is that they sped up the AI. Before that, it thought for like a really long time, and it's a Game Boy game,
right?
So you wouldn't like get anything done,
right?
Because you'd be sitting around waiting for the AI to think. So, yep. I mean, I don't blame. Yeah, I can't imagine what it would take to develop like a challenging AI on the Game Boy. So, like, there's not a lot of processing power there.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I don't, envy them for being able to make it in the first place, but yeah, I really wouldn't recommend the first one.
Yeah, sometimes I'll try and force myself to play games in a series as what I like, just a history lesson.
Yeah.
But some are just like you might want to play for like a curiosity's sake, or maybe watch a Let's Play. But some are just like, no, you can start your history lesson a little bit closer to our time, and sounds like that's one to miss.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no real. Well, there's a story in the Advance Wars game, so it was kind of the first one with a story.
Mm-hmm.
They do hint at the fact that the like pseudo COs, like you could pick COs in Super Famicom Wars, but there are like 6 of them and they're kind of weak. Yeah, like the first 4 COs actually don't have a power. Only the special ones have powers, because it was everybody being even and all that.
You mentioned, Graham. You mentioned the Game Boy taking a long time. Here's another great thing from watching Andrew play Advance Wars. It really seems like there's no time wasted. Like, it doesn't seem like the computer takes a long time to think.
Yeah.
It goes by at I mean, it's still a tactical game, so it's not constant action, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of waiting around, which is nice.
Yeah, that part's great, and I think that's due to the fact that they streamlined the AI in the way they did. I mean, there are easily ways to exploit the AI if you know what you're doing. Like, the AI will always attack an APC if it can attack an APC, or like a unit capturing a city, so you can just kind of lure them wherever you want to lure them. If you have like a quote-unquote vulnerable unit, they'll attack it, regardless of whether it's actually doing anything. But streamlining that does make things go a lot faster, and I think that's what makes the game really fun to play. Well, that and playing with friends and passing it around and stuff. That part's cool. But yeah, it's interesting to go back to this first Advance Wars, though. Henry, I don't know how many you've played, but Andrew, I know you've played at least a few. Mm-hmm. But going back to this first one after playing, I think 2 and Dual Strike had like a very, very similar aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then, Days of Ruin went weird places. But going back to the first game, there's like this cartoony kind of edge to it. It's all of the word, all the logos and things, all the icons are all like a little more playful than they are in later games. Like when they, for example, when the day pops up and stuff, it's all in this kind of fun kiddie font.
Yeah, exactly.
Which definitely isn't the case later. I don't know. You kind of forget about it since it was a logical progression to go to the second game, and then it stayed that way with the third one, but you go back and it's like, really? I don't know. Maybe this was a little too lighthearted. But
I think it's adorable.
Yeah. But yeah, so Andrew.
Hello.
This is not the only game you've been playing lately.
That's true. That is very true.
What?
Yeah.
Andrew, how long were you going to keep this horrific secret from us?
Until Grant asked me about it.
Yeah.
Well,
you want me to confess now?
Clear conscience and confess.
All right. Well, I've been playing a recent release. A recent release called Strike Suit Zero Director's Cut, which is a kind of update of a PC game that came out last year called Strike Suit Zero.
Yep.
I'm playing it just came out on PS4 and Xbox One. I've been playing the PS4 version, and it is a kind of space it's Ace Combat in space, except your plane can transform into a
Ace Combat.
What's that?
It's Ace Combat.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You got it.
Yep. Nailed it.
I don't even know if I could talk about the game anymore.
No, we're done.
All right.
I think the whole episode's over because I just said that.
Okay, so thanks for joining us, everyone.
How does it play?
It plays great. I think, actually, funny enough, I popped in Ace Combat recently to write a New Game Plus, which will be going up next week. Just because I love Ace Combat, and going from that to...
You do like Ace Combat, I've heard that.
Yeah, that's true. I like Ace Combat, and I like Advance Wars, so
yeah,
it's great.
Wait, is your favorite CO Eagle?
I actually don't even have a favorite CO. It's been so long.
I was going to guess Eagle, and then I was going to guess Andy, because 1, he's at the beginning of the game, and 2, his name is Andy.
It's actually funny. I named the character you quote unquote play as, who's just kind of the mysterious,
Andy?
Invisible person. I named him Andrew, so it's Andrew and Andy teaming up. But Eagle. Actually, Eagle. I do remember playing Eagle a lot. But yeah. Anyway, so Strike Suit Zero. It's a lot of fun. It starts out pretty basic. You have kind of. You're just kind of flying through space as this spaceship thing, just shooting down enemies as usual. Then, shortly into the game, you get a new ship that can transform into the Strike Suit, which is kind of like a mech. sort of, and it can maneuver a lot faster, and it has stronger attacks and everything, and it's great. It's fast, and it changes things up just enough to keep things from getting repetitive. And there's still a little repetition. I'm about I think I'm getting close to the end of the main campaign now. There's a secondary campaign, and it is a little repetitive because I feel like there's like just not enough variety in the enemies. But I think it's also just long enough that it doesn't seem to be overstaying its welcome, from what I can tell. So the strike suit itself is a nice change of pace. But even if take away that, like, the controls are great, the story is interesting. Like, I feel like they're trying to establish this really grand sci-fi world, but they don't do enough with it in the campaign. But it seems intriguing, at least, not boring or anything. I'm really liking it. As someone who has played a lot of, like, Ace Combat and also kind of a lot of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter type games on the PC way back when, it's kind of a cool homage to that style of game.
So this is something I've been wondering about that game.
Yes.
Is it the prequel to a game called Strike Suit?
I don't think so, no.
As a veteran of the industry, I understand what Zero means in a game title.
Yeah, that's true.
That means that it's a prequel. If it's not a prequel, then you really shouldn't be calling it the Zero.
I don't, honestly, I don't know, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I'm going to say no. If I'm wrong about that, then someone can correct me, but I'm pretty sure that is not the case. I don't think I'm doing very good in Advance Wars right now. I kind of lost the thread here. I don't even know what's happening. Okay,
You're really not doing very well. I was going to say something,
you're
but
playing it's probably because we've been distracting you with
I'm not good at Advance Wars, guys.
Concentrating
I'm sorry.
on the game.
But
so I think you're doing fine, man.
So
okay.
tip to get you through this.
Yeah.
The green can really only hit you right now.
Yeah.
So you really need to go all out at green.
I was planning on it.
Green's a jerk. Get rid of
And let yellow encroach as much as possible to start distracting green.
Yeah.
Because the way for you to win is to take green and take green's base.
Mm-hmm.
And that's step one.
I'm slowly working on that. I just kind of got destroyed a little bit right there.
You have that tiny force over there. I mean, as long as you don't move very close, you don't really need them there.
Yeah.
But you should take everybody into that middle left spot. And
Okay.
try to get all those cities. And that's step one.
Step one. Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
I'm working on step one then. Anyway, so yeah, Strike Suit Zero. I'm liking it a lot so far. I think it's I never played the original on PC, so I don't know what changes they made to the director's cut exactly. Other than I know they changed the voice acting, and then they kind of improved some of the controls and how quickly you can get into the actual strike suit. Because I think that was a big problem people had was sometimes it took a little too long for the because you have to fill up a meter and then you can activate it. Sometimes it took a little long for that to happen. But besides that, it seems like a really cool kind of space combat game, and something new to play on new consoles. I'm glad there's enough coming out on those systems now that I don't feel like there's a huge lull between releases. So
Yeah.
also, just real quick before we move on from stuff I've been playing recently that's not Advance Wars.
Okay.
I've also recently played what might secretly be the best release of the year so far.
It's a secret, though, so can you tell us?
Shh, don't tell anyone. But
Okay.
it's actually an iPhone game / iPad game called Monument Valley. And
What is it?
Monument Valley. It just came
Monument
out.
Valley? Oh, I saw you tweet about that. Yeah.
It just came out last week. It kind of came out of nowhere. At least I think it came out of nowhere. Maybe people were looking forward to it, or it was hotly anticipated in that space. But I didn't really pay attention to those releases until people start talking about them. But it is kind of like. Have either of you played Echo Chrome before on the PS3?
Yeah.
It is that, but with like a more distinct art style and a kind of
a more distinct art style?
I think okay.
Echo Chrome's pretty distinct.
Okay, well,
This is more distinct, Graham. Didn't you hear him?
I don't think that's possible.
Okay, then I take that back.
Shots fired.
It's literally the most distinct art style.
It is a more interesting art style.
Okay, that can be true.
Yeah. I just think it's a gorgeous game. I've only played it on iPhone. I don't know. I'm sure it looks even better on an iPad. I don't have an iPad, unfortunately. But it's gorgeous. It plays a lot like Echo Chrome, but to me it isn't as frustrating. I feel like Echo Chrome just kind of just not my kind of game, maybe. But I felt like it always, after you get past the first few levels in Echo, and basically any Echo Chrome game. I think there's only 2 of them, right? 1 and 2, maybe 2 Echo Chromes.
Yeah, I mean, Echo Chrome 2 is a very different game.
Yeah, I've only played the first one, so I don't know. But to me, when I played the first one, I think it just, after a while, it just got a little too frustrating. Monument Valley is challenging, but you never feel frustrated with it, which I think is a perfect kind of the perfect design for a puzzle game like that. And it's more focused again on the visuals, on the story, on which is kind of minimalistic, but kind of very interesting, and it's a really, really cool game. It shouldn't take you more than a couple hours to get through, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been playing the right games this year, but I feel like this year's been kind of lackluster so far.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it depends on what you've been playing.
Of course, I haven't played probably the 2 biggest games of the year, which are Titanfall and Dark Souls 2, so again.
I haven't played those and don't intend on playing this.
But why did I do that?
You haven't played the 2 biggest games of the year, Smash Brothers and the other Smash Brothers.
That's true.
Duh.
Yeah.
They're 2 separate games. That's how releasing at different times works.
Of course.
Yeah. No, anyway.
But yeah, it's a really cool game. I like it a lot, and I
cool.
think it might be the best thing I've played so far this year, but who knows?
Yeah. So, Henry, you've kind of been out of town for a while. I don't know if you played anything. But while you were gone, a piece you wrote went up on the site.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, like, maybe the best thing I've read on site in the history of the site. So
it was really good.
It's pretty
really,
good.
Really good.
I don't know. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So I got a lot of really, really positive feedback from it, and it was certainly a difficult article to write in a way, but also the easiest to write in a way. This was totally a piece where I know you guys have found this, where like almost no effort was needed. I was sort of in the right space. I was
kind of pouring your soul into the.
Basically, that's it, Graham. You exactly got it. This is me sort of pouring my soul out. I wasn't feeling great at the time, so I think I want people to know that like I'm very happy with my life right now, and things are going great. Just sort of one of those nights where you want to feel a little morose, a little sad, sort of a beautiful sadness. It's, I guess, the only way to describe it. But I was sort of a combination of fueled up by caffeine and sort of feeling like dipping into my childhood. And I just finished, obviously, I usually get inspired by stuff like this by either playing other games or watching other movies or whatever. And I finished reading Peter Pan, and I just sort of totally got into this nostalgic binge where I started thinking about, childhood and fantasy and growing up and memories and things like that. And I finished reading the book, and I started reading about Narnia and started thinking about my own experiences and what it's like, growing up, and thinking about sort of a combination of all those things. And I was hoping as I was writing, I just sort of, didn't think about editing or grammar or anything like that, just sort of spewed, which, is not that much different than how I normally write, but just sort of spewed about, 1,100 words or so, just without stop, didn't really think all that much. Didn't really look up references or anything like that. It was just totally wanted to let others, to know how I felt at that time. And I'm glad that
you did that. So
thanks, man. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, again, I wish I could write like that all the time, but
I don't think everybody had. I don't think people have that kind of story in them every 2 weeks.
You would probably. No. That'd be too exhausting, I think.
Actually, Andrew, you bring up a good point. I mean, it was sort of exhausting by the end. I'd sort of felt that I'd got out what I needed. Mm-hmm. I would like to write a piece, sort of companion piece one day if I get in the right mindset about sort of a little bit more positive. But in a way, I wanted this to be positive. I wanted to sort of tell people that, this is, how I feel today about games is usually quite positive. I'm not sort of reaching back and necessarily wishing that I could feel that way, but more, I remember how it was to feel that way. it was wonderful, and that's why I continue to play games today. And that life is obviously very difficult. It's different than when you're a kid. You have a lot more pressures. But when the right formula comes around, it has a... Obviously, we can appreciate good graphics and good gameplay and all that, but it ties into something much more deeper and personal. And that's sort of fun to seek out once in a while, and it's okay to feel, sad once in a while. Don't lose track, though, that there are many, many wonderful things about today, not just with games, but, with life and friends and family and things like that. So, nothing really, I'm not really sort of talking myself in a circle here, but I just want to say to everybody that I really appreciate the positive feedback, and I was very happy that I was able to write sort of a relatively cohesive narrative there. Yeah. Plus, Chrono Trigger's awesome.
Breathe, Henry.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad, man. It's again, if I could write like that all the time, I would. But my next piece, I'm happy with my next piece, but I was reading it and I'm like, oh, this isn't quite as, it doesn't pack quite the emotional punch that last week's did. But that's okay.
I don't think I could handle reading that every week too. So
that's good. Yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it's cool. No, the book I'm reading right now certainly is not even close. It's reading this great sort of sci-fi series called The Book of the New Sun by a British guy named Gene Wolfe, and it's one of those books where like you're not going to plow through it. It takes a long time to read even a page, so I won't be able to write anything as remotely emotional based on that. So, but I did read that piece. I'm playing a little bit of games here and there. I'm still getting through Valkyria Chronicles 2, just having a good time, preparing for the next story mission.
What month are you in?
I'm only in April. I'm not very far, but I was in April about 10 hours ago, and where I got stuck. I got really stuck.
That is not a short game. Man, it only lasts 1 year, but it kind of is real time.
Man, a year? A year? That's I don't think. Yeah, that's a pretty long game.
Yeah, every month is sort of a new storyline mission. So I'm going through all the classmate missions, trying to get A's on all of them. Still really enjoying it. Being like my serotonin instead, I'm being a little bit more liberal with guides on this one.
Yeah,
and
especially
I'm actually
with the missions with the V2s.
Oh man,
have you gotten to that, right?
Yeah, I think that's the first V2 I faced, and it's just like
they keep showing up, and it's just like, well, that person's basically invincible.
Basically, I'm like, I know what I'll do.
There's a way to get around it, but it's like you can barely beat that map if you know where they are, and like I guess the idea is play it until you hit a V2, and now you know where the V2 is, and then play it again.
Exactly.
But it's not great.
No, there's
I really screwed this one up, guys. I'm sorry.
Yes, you did.
Andrew, you have really ruined snack time.
I mean, you're going to lose.
Snack time, more like park time. Is there a surrender option?
There is. Let's see you stick it out another couple minutes, see if you can.
Go, Andrew, go. I believe in you.
No, it's not going to happen.
But, I do want to see
next time Graham plays Advance Wars, not me.
Actually, I might be playing Super Famicom Wars, but I do have my stream stuff set up, so I will be hosting some of the streams in the future.
Hooray!
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
I will be subjecting you guys to weird stuff.
Excellent. I like weird stuff.
More often. Yeah.
Now, Graham, you're the one that's going to be pressured with playing a game, performing well, while Andrew and I bug you about various questions about the game.
I'm not that worried because most of the time I don't perform well in the games anyway. I've already done things where I don't know, when you play games in front of the developers and start like dying over and over again in places you really shouldn't be dying, and then just kind of looking at them exasperated as you have to track back for 5 minutes while they're standing there patiently watching.
Right.
You know what? Once you've been through that a couple of times, it's like, nah, you know what? I'm fine. Whatever, I'm just going to, I fell into that water again. I know you told me not to fall in the water last time, but I'm doing it again. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to play next week. That'll be interesting.
Sure.
Some stuff may come in. We could possibly play then. Also, hopefully, with the next firmware update, we'll be able to stream PS4 games because the protection will be removed. So there's been a lot of stuff that Andrew's really wanted to show that we couldn't show, and we'll be able to do that. So that'll help. I don't know. I mean, if there's something you guys want to see, definitely, hit us up. for sure. In the chat or on Twitter or whatever, and we can probably make that happen. I don't know. I mean, also, if there's something you two want to see me play,
just the weirdest stuff you have.
Okay,
just the weirdest things. Like
I can do that.
I don't know if I can handle the weirdest stuff Graham has. Graham, just normal for you will probably be weird enough for me.
So just Puyo Puyo Tetris.
What? You just made that? What is that? That's not even
that
real.
may happen in the near future.
That's all. No, man. Whatever you got, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Puyo Puyo Tetris is kind of great.
Cool.
I might need to pull people in to play stuff while I talk on that one, because that really is something where you can't speak and play fast-paced puzzle games at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Should maybe put it on easy mode, because Andrew and I are going to be talking the whole time, and that's in itself a mode of difficulty.
Nah, I'll be fine.
Cool. I know you will be. Andrew, we're going to have to really challenge him.
All right, sure.
As it is, I haven't actually been playing a lot of new stuff.
Let's hear it.
I haven't actually been playing a lot of new stuff.
Oh, you haven't actually?
Yeah. Which is kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I think it was one of those things where I played a whole bunch of stuff in quick succession, like played, Yoshi and South Park, and there was this streak there where I think I did not give myself a break. But it's been nice to not do that. But what I've been doing a lot is working on the return of our Genre 101 feature. And Andrew's been involved in two of those, the two pieces that are up so far. But a couple other guys are jumping in and talking about some new stuff. I'm excited about that coming back, specifically because we have a new associate producer, Christian, who has come in. And you guys want to explain what it is he has done so far? He's here for videos.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done videos yet, but he had this idea. Yeah, Andrew, I'll let you explain it.
I mean, he thought it would be a cool idea to kind of showcase how the games we're talking about have influenced other games, and originally we had a couple of different ideas bouncing back and forth, but eventually he kind of came up with the idea of, here are these GIFs, since you could just kind of talk about these are the games that these main titles have influenced, but without actually showing them, it's not as interesting, I think. So that's basically what he does. So, for example, with the third-person shooter piece that went up last week, there would be a game like Max Payne that would be the central game we're talking about for like the third or fourth in the list, and then there would be a series of 3 GIFs, and they would all kind of showcase how Max Payne has influenced those games. And I think that's a fantastic way to kind of demonstrate, a fantastic and brief way to demonstrate this is,
it's really, really effective.
Yeah, and you did the same thing for your action puzzle game piece, which I think is great too. So it's just kind of, in case people don't believe us that these games were influential.
It's just a quick reminder.
Yeah.
I think especially the cover system stuff, he did a really good job of finding clips of people slipping in and out of cover and shooting. It's great. Yeah, that's what we wanted.
Perfect.
And it shows how that's gotten into these things. I do like the Max Payne stuff with the bullet time.
Yeah.
It's just 3 people flying around, and I don't know. It's pretty great. I hope people don't still use slower connections, but I don't know. I think it's worth it. We're doing it for this. Yeah. We'll see where we can put his talents to use elsewhere in the site.
It is new and experimental, and I always approve of that.
Yeah, I think it just really, really makes it more interesting. I hope other people do too. But yeah, yep, that has been happening. Let's see. Anything else going on?
I'm just excited for I know it's still a little ways away, but I'm just excited to hear about some new games at E3. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and you kind of gotta wait until E3 this year.
Yeah.
That we can talk about. So PAX East is kind of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, there might be a couple of things here and there. But
I'm hearing there's something in the way of a major Firaxis announcement.
Okay.
Which could be really intriguing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's new Civ or new XCOM or new something like Civ or XCOM. Because then I will just be on board completely with that whole thing. but like Nintendo's skipping it this year. Nintendo hasn't ever done that much, but Capcom is skipping. The big thing is Capcom is skipping it this year. Mm-hmm. And Capcom generally goes to PAX East and goes to like New York Comic Con and things. And, like they go to these things and they unveil something. Right. You know, like at last year's PAX East, they unveiled both DuckTales Remastered and Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara. Mm-hmm. And so that's not happening, you know? Like previously they did that with like Darkstalkers and like it's just like interesting things that they were working on, and now they're not there. So I guess maybe they're not working on those things.
Or they're big enough to save for E3.
I
mean,
could it just be that there's just too many? There's too many of these conventions now. Like they can't come up with some like big announcement for every single Comic-Con, PAX, E3, like maybe it's just oversaturation. I
was thinking the same thing. I was thinking like, yeah, there are a ton of conventions, and you know the rumors going around that there's going to be a PAX Central possibly. So that'll be 3
like
PAXs.
At what point does it become too much? Like it's cool that it's successful, but like I don't think a major company like skipping one of these things.
No,
even now, like Nintendo's
skipping, like specifically Capcom, because like this was always a weekend where like. You know, somebody like there will be an interesting Square Enix panel where they talk about, like I think last year they were talking about like Final Fantasy XIV stuff, and they unveiled a lot of stuff about A Realm Reborn, and like, but the thing is like there are a few companies like this is your weekend to like do something interesting, right? Like Capcom doesn't get a lot of attention during E3. It's not really their place.
No,
right?
That's true. But I mean,
so you know when they can get out of that spotlight and be like, "Hey, we're going to unveil this or that," like that's a way they could do it.
Yeah, I mean, for smaller stuff, definitely. But I mean, they don't really have any besides that Deep Down game, which is coming out for PS4. They really don't have anything in the works for next gen. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see. I mean, they had Dead Rising 3 as well.
Yeah, but, I mean. The thing is, they did, like, to our knowledge, they didn't have DuckTales or Chronicles of Mystara in the works until they announced them at PAX East. Like, they could be sitting on things like they normally do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the whole thing.
I just think
I
that
like those smaller scale projects, and I worry that them not being there to announce that means that they're not working on them.
Or, like, I don't know. I think I wouldn't be worried about that. I think they are probably. They are probably working on a bunch of stuff. They just, I don't know. Maybe they just don't think PAX is the place to show it off anymore. I don't know. Or maybe they're not ready to show it off at PAX. Maybe they think
Nintendo may have avoided PAX, possibly due to increasing controversy. I think that might have something to do with some of the larger companies. Kind of pulling their larger presence away.
I could see that. Yeah.
Especially Nintendo, which Nintendo has just always been really, really hesitant to get involved or be controversial in any way.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised. But, you know, I don't know. I do hope something interesting gets announced this weekend. I think something will. Just, you know, maybe not more than 1 or 2 things.
I forgot to mention one exciting thing I should mention in talking about sort of events and conventions is me and a few friends are going to Dota 2 International 4 in July.
Oh, nice.
So that's a little ways off, but tickets sold out within, I think, 45 minutes to an hour. And it went from sort of a smaller venue to Key Arena where the Supersonics used to play. So this is the first esport that I've sort of attended. This is actually the first... If you want to call it a convention, I'm not sure if you can. Certainly, probably the first, if not the biggest gaming convention I've ever attended. And my girlfriend's going, and we're planning on dressing up. So,
wait, not to put pressure on you or anything.
Like cosplaying or like going in a suit and tie.
No, like cosplaying. She's really excited about it.
Okay.
It'll be.
That would be an interesting way to go about going to the international.
Yeah, well, that's she's like, I'll
black
go.
tie and
yeah, no kidding. Dress up in a suit will. Yeah, it'll be. I'm really looking forward to that. I don't think esports ever been bigger.
Yeah. So we're not crazy into Dota around here.
No,
we appreciate that you are. But I did actually. I watched Free to Play, the documentary. Have you seen it?
What'd you think? Yeah, I have. What'd you think?
I don't know. It seemed a little distracting when they did like the sort of dramatization stuff.
on the game itself. Yeah. I mean, the only reason I like that is because you never see that in a game, so I appreciated them doing that.
Yeah, I imagine it's cool for people who like it, but I think it's like those moments of like watching The Wizard when like for some reason they're just like showcasing this weird third-party product.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess you're pointing out this game now. It's not a very popular game, but I guess you got money? It felt like a little like I mean, yes, Valve produced it, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. There were some cool parts of it, but nothing that you haven't seen in another documentary like that. In fact, there was one that MTV, shockingly enough, did MTV Life as a Gamer like 10 or 15, like a long time ago, I think closer to 10 years ago or so, which I found a lot better. It followed 3 people in various levels of success with esport. They had one guy doing like Golden Tee, they had Fatality doing...
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I remember seeing it because of Fatality, yeah.
That to me was a lot better because they focused more on the people and their struggles, which again is more interesting than just watching a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt it was fine. I mean, we're more going for the atmosphere than the actual game itself. I mean, it's going to be a big party. Seattle's a fun town. Yeah.
No, I just this seems like a really good opportunity to discuss this with you because, like, I mean, I think the issue with esports in general boils down to the issues I've had like watching that because, like, I want to enjoy it. I want to get into it, and but like I was there and I was like, okay, now I'm learning a lot about these people. It puts a human angle on these people and these teams. And the thing is, these people are all retired because their careers are like 6 months long. The teams all disband after they lose funding, and then they're completely different teams. And then like I think like one of the teams in that group is still like playing.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's just difficult. And then like because of how they're named, like, yes, I guess there's like a Chinese team, but it's not like pro sports where it's like, here's my local team, I'm going to pull for it. Like, it's just like these like weird branded teams that sometimes switch nationalities. Like, I think that part's difficult because I really wanted to like dig in and be like, oh, cool, what are they up to now? Oh, they don't exist. None of them are playing anymore. Like, what is this? I don't know. I think that's the difficulty with it.
Graham, you hit the proverbial nail on the head on why esport, no matter what they're saying, will never be as big as a sport like soccer, football, basketball, baseball, hockey. And there's a number of reasons. One, like you mentioned, not only are the people changing all the time and the teams are changing all the time, the same people may have a different team name, the same players might have a different handle. The games themselves are always changing, right? The appeal of a sport like baseball, which has 100+ years of history, is you can go back and read an article about Babe Ruth, and Babe Ruth talking about him pitching or hitting one out of the park, and that's the same as a baseball game in 2014.
Yeah.
With this kind of thing, that history will never be there because if a game lasts like StarCraft, for example, that's pretty much the only instance of a game lasting even longer than, I would say, 5 years in competitive play. And most will never see longer than maybe a year or two. So you're never going to be like, oh man, like this, let's say a player like Dendy. Like, Dendy was such an amazing player. It's like, oh, were you talking about him playing Dota 1, Dota 2, StarCraft 2, this game, that game? It just doesn't work. And the fact that most players' careers last even shorter than professional sports means that sort of loyalty and longevity that you find in a sport like the sports I've already mentioned is never going to happen. So I appreciate it for what it is, but when they start saying things like, oh, soon it'll be bigger than the Super Bowl, like, you've done well, don't get me wrong, not even close, and I don't ever think it will be.
But I mean, like, there are ways to fix it,
Yeah.
Like, I think, if you can keep your game, like, to a certain level of stability, yes, how StarCraft did it, but also I think you could get that way with like a TF2 team or something where it's like, well, the game's been the same for years. It's just, we can upgrade the visuals on it and like make some small tweaks here and there. Like I think, like whatever, people were playing Street Fighter 2 forever. Like there are ways to do it. But I don't know. It's one of those things.
I think you're right. I mean, it's weird. It's in its infancy right now.
What the whole thing reminds me of is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, Henry, but there was the attempts to do like a professional team tennis league. But
what do you mean, like team tennis, like game?
like tennis being played like in like professional teams, and like but the teams didn't have any play. Like it only lasted I think like a year or two, but. Like, the thing was, the teams weren't from anywhere. They were just, like, led by people you've heard of.
Right.
And, you know, they didn't have any permanent home, and they just kind of moved around. And, like, it just... There are ways you could totally fix this.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Especially, I mean, what they need to do... I mean, the clear thing to do is to make it like the Olympics. Where you have your national team for each game, right?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if it got big enough, I think you're totally right. It's missing the kind of standardization and organization that other sports may have. So you're right. I don't like the idea of teams switching around all the time, or maybe 3 different players from 2 different countries.
And especially like teams get there because people know who they are, so they're invited.
That's right.
If they had like qualifiers and like some sort of like league with particular point system that was like the one league that everybody agreed was it, and that it was all centralized. There's a way to do it, and like because of the corporate nature of games, you could build that. Like Valve could just be like, all right, like we're gonna like break these areas down, like either by nation, or if they're huge nations, you break them down into regions. Like here are your teams, or you like have like, all right, Valve's holding its like national qualifiers. Like you could do that. You could do it.
It'll take some time. I agree with you, and I think they're cognizant of that, or at least they're trying. This is the 4th international, and as far as I know, there are 11 teams that are invited, and I think the remaining 5 have to play a qualifier to get in. So it's starting, baby steps to what you're talking about. Yeah, in terms of future potential, Graham, I think you're on the right track for sure.
Anyway,
Andrew, how's the game going?
Andrew's holding out longer than I thought he would.
Yeah, man.
Well, everything you guys just talked about kind of went over my head, but cool, sounds great. No, seriously, I think all that stuff is pretty interesting. I'm just kind of on the outside, just like, I think I know what you guys are talking about, but all right. I think it would, Henry, I mean, I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but I think it would be, maybe you had this idea already, I think it would be cool if you incorporated whatever happened to the International into a serotonin piece at some point.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I
think
unquestionably, I'm going to try and do as much as I can, yeah.
That would be fantastic, I think.
Cool.
Because you're basically our esports guy at this point, mostly because you're the only one who pays attention to that stuff.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so.
All right, promotion. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. We'll have a lot of pictures. We're there for, 3 straight days. Tickets cover every event. Our hotel's a block away from the arena, so going to be right in the thick of it.
Yeah, so I haven't been to obviously I haven't been to an international or anything, but I have been to a couple of esports events.
Oh, really?
Yes. So MLG does its tour, and they stop in Raleigh, and I actually covered it for this site once. And I just went one other time because they weren't really paying much attention. But it's weird. I'm curious as to whether this is just like an everyone esports thing, or whether, I don't know whether Valve follows suit, but you get in there and like they just have like, you pay a large amount to get in, and then it's just like, here, we want you to drink Dr. Pepper now, so here's some free Dr. Pepper and also some Hot Pockets.
Oh,
and I don't know, maybe you
champions.
want like some energy gum. I'm like,
oh boy,
all right, I get, but like those are like the only food available.
Yeah, we're not planning on eating too much there. We're probably, Seattle's got a ton of great restaurants, but yeah, hopefully there's not a lot of that. From what I've read on people's accounts at TI3, there wasn't too much of that, but we'll see, because that was a much smaller venue. That was sort of like in an auditorium that maybe like university would have. This is 10,000 plus seats, so I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more corporate, if not a lot more corporate in terms of that.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. That's not why we're going. We're going for the crowds and the atmosphere and sort of the not necessarily the nostalgia, but the the word is escaping me. The sort of novelty factor, if you will, of going to something like this, and hopefully we don't get schlocked with a lot of crap like that.
Well, except for if it's free.
Oh, if it's free, yeah. Free stuff's always great.
I mean, that was the thing I like going to like an MLG event is it was more like, there's like 9 things going on at once. Like they had Halo and Tekken and Smash Brothers and League and there's one more thing I don't even remember, but it's just like all this stuff going on at once. I don't know, like it felt more like going to like a minor league baseball game, whereas I feel like the international would be maybe more of like a centered on the main event kind of thing. Like that there's less going on, but the things that are going on are of higher importance. I don't know how that works. But yeah.
I mean, guys, I don't think I'm going to win this one. So I'm just...
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think I'm going to... I'll probably last a while longer, but I think
you're doing a lot better than I thought you would. You might be able to pull it out, but not in the next hour or 2.
Yeah, it'll take a while. So if you guys want to wrap it up, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, sure. Long story short, you guys should probably play Advance Wars if you haven't.
It's pretty great.
And it's pretty good on Virtual Console. It's $8. $8.
Yeah, and then I got this, and I got Metroid Fusion, which is also pretty great. So
also
awesome.
Mario and Luigi's on there, which I think that makes like a really good fit on a console. I think.
Yes, it does. And I think this week is this week? This week is WarioWare, the first one,
and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror.
Yeah, that's right. So,
yeah.
So and then
there's some
good
cool
stuff.
Things going. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Hopefully they keep up with it beyond this month, because I get the feeling. I have a bad feeling that after this month they'll just be like, here's your one GBA game for the month.
Well, like maybe these are the only ones M2 did.
Yeah, that's possible too.
I hope not.
There's rumors coming around that we're going to be getting like a Castlevania, I think Aria of Sorrow, and there's the other F-Zero game might be one of them too. So.
Yeah, GP Legend's pretty great.
Yeah, that's the one F-Zero game I've ever played, so I'd like to check that out.
Yeah, there's also F-Zero Climax, which is only released in Japan. There was a third GBA F-Zero game, crazy enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it was basically a direct sequel to GP Legends, but it has like a story, and it's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah. But anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap this episode. For Andrew and Henry, I'm Graham. See you in 2 weeks when we play, I don't really know.
Something weird.
Something weird. Probably.
Yeah.